in an accident, one thing leads to another. Your injury leads to treatment. Treatment leads to hospital bills. Bills lead to debt. Debt leads to stress. The advocates can help relieve that stress. Having an advocate attorney on your side leads to faster resolutions, fair outcomes, and a peaceful recovery for you. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Did we not just, I hate technical issues. Jake, we were just talking about this the other day. Were we not? When you have something that should work, you expect it to work. And today we showed up on StreamYards and they made all kinds of changes.
Yes.
Absolutely makes you crazy because things that are happening that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, welcome to the Monty Show. On LSU Monday, everybody is freaking out over Brian Kelly being fired. Who's going to replace Brian Kelly? We have some exclusive insider information for you on that, and just looking at some of the folks who are losing their mind over it. I got to tell you that I think LSU is the premier job available in college football. And I really don't even hesitate to say that. I think in talking to a lot of people around college football, there is no question LSU is the job that everybody's talking about. Who are the candidates? I can tell you who it's not. LSU is not interested at this time in talking to coordinators. And I think it's exactly the right way to go. Because I think when you are talking to the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, when you are going for a job like LSU, you need to have been there and done that. And I think that is the mistake that LSU made with Brian Kelly. And I almost, I wish I hadn't now. I almost have some Brian Kelly got whacked at LSU guilt. Because I think, well, it's not even a sad music thing. I just think it's the result of who Brian Kelly is. And I know that it's popular and fun to get after people after they get fired. But this is just who Brian Kelly is. And I go back to his initial, introduction. You're going to hear the family speech in a minute. But I'm not at all surprised that Brian Kelly got whacked. I truly am not. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. And I'll continue to tell you this as well. When you've been in an accident, the last thing you need to worry about is reaching into your pocket to pay somebody to fight for you. The advocates get that. That's why when you go to theadvocates.com, you get clear, risk-free advice. And you never pay the advocates out of pocket because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. I just think from the beginning, and I'm not trying to do the whole, hey, I told you so, I'm always right, which I am, let's be honest. And I'm good looking. But I think Brian Kelly was an awkward fit at LSU from the jump, Jake. I think he was never a good fit there.
Yeah, I think that Brian Kelly is someone who is always a solid name to hire, but never seems to get across the finish line. And that's the hard part with this conversation is we're talking about a guy who, won most of the games that he coached in at LSU. He ran a solid program. Like, they obviously are a good team. but they weren't national championship good. And we're seeing this trend now where it's not good enough just to win games anymore. It's not good enough just to be a solid developer as a head coach. It's not good enough to be liked in the community, if you will. Like you have to win at the highest level or you're going to get fired. And now, we're at a point where you're going to get fired in the middle of the year as soon as your season's over. And I hearken all the way back to, in light of we told you so, I hearken back to what Utah did with their head basketball coach. As soon as you knew you weren't getting into the tournament, he got fired. That's exactly what this is with Brian Kelly. I mean, Mike Gundy. Any other head coach you want to look at. And that's what teams are doing now, man. And it's just a very volatile space right now.
Yeah, and I would again say let's go back to Brian Kelly talking about family.
It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana.
It was just a wrong fit.
Stick.
And I think the hard part is if you know anybody from Louisiana, the South, anybody from that neck of the woods, they don't want you to come down there and try to pretend you've been there your whole life. I think that's a huge mistake. I've been told directly by multiple college football people in the know that he just didn't embrace the history and tradition of LSU. Brian Kelly wanted to allegedly leave all that behind and have it be Brian Kelly's LSU Tigers. And that's just not the way this was ever going to work. That's not what college football is. That's not what alumni bases and donors and NFL alumni specifically want. They want to be ingratiated. They want to help grow the program. You have to respect the people who have come before you. And frankly, Brian Kelly just did not do that. And I think that's why he's no longer the head coach at LSU. Now, they're going to pay him $800,000 a month for the next 9,000 years because here we are in the middle of a conversation and it's another massive buyout in college football, which, hey, if you can get that kind of money, knock yourself out, right? I mean, it is really tough to argue that Brian Kelly is a good head coach. Now, will he ever coach again? Does he want to coach again? I have no idea. But what I do know is I don't believe for a second that Brian Kelly was the right fit, Jake. And maybe I just believe in that job too much. But I wholeheartedly believe that Brian Kelly is somebody that he needs to be humbled. And I hope that's what comes out of this, is that Brian Kelly gets humbled, because I think that's what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes a long way right now for people to like you, for you to be good in what I like to call people ops, right? I mean, if you're the guy who doesn't win or doesn't perform at a high enough level, whether we're talking college football, head coaches, or whatever it is that you may do, and you're kind of an asshole to everyone, firing you becomes a lot more attractive, not because it would help the company or put LSU on a better track, but because people would be happier in the day-to-day. And so when you're a head coach in college football who has had success in college football, but just hasn't won a national championship, and you're not treating people well, I mean, that makes it awfully easy to be like, yeah, BK, you know what? Yeah, we'd rather suffer the pain of sucking the rest of this year and just kind of playing out the string rather than dealing with you and the attitude and how you're treating people. And I think that's what is tough, is that like the family thing, all tongue-in-cheek jokes aside, like you thought it was a good idea to pretend to have a Southern accent, like a week after you did a different interview where you had your normal, cadence and tone. And it just says like you think that in order for you to relate to people, you got to like bring on a fake accent. Like that's why it's such a problem to do things like that.
Yeah. And I guess the natural progression of things is, okay, well, now what? Because I think this is ultimately the argument. How good is the LSU football job? And I will tell you, I think it's the best available job in the country. I don't even think it's close. I'm not sure it's an argument. I think the LSU job is significantly better than the Florida job. You have access to better talent. You've won recently, and you haven't fired your last 4 coaches. And that's the biggest hang up at Florida is you have not won recently. Coaches have not had success. Now, we can go back and talk about the Will Muschamps and just the bad decisions right out of the gate. We can go back and have that discussion. I think the LSU job is a destination job. I think it is the big of the big, the blue blood, the one that you've been waiting for. That's this job. And I have no doubt that it is the best available job in college football. And Jake, frankly, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, I think that LSU is a job that certainly is not a regularly available job in the SEC. Number one. I think number two, the LSU job is a job that clearly is in the top half of the SEC, and for the right candidate, I think is in the top probably 10, 12% of the SEC. When LSU is good, they are very good, and you can go and win national championships there. You can be whatever you want to be there. There is no limitations in resources and ability to go out and get guys. Like, it's well documented. The receivers that programs put out, like, there's no question that LSU is a big time job. And now I think we're getting to the point in the conversation over the last several weeks. Obviously it started with Mike Gundy this year, and we've progressed through the James Franklin situation. Now, Brian Kelly, we're looking at these different jobs and we're saying, okay, well, clearly I agree with you. LSU is the best available job open. But now it's like, okay, well, if you're a candidate that's good enough to go to LSU, you're also good enough to go to Florida. And so now we have a situation where the SEC has competition within the conference for 2 different coaching gigs, and they're clearly going to pull from probably the Big Ten. I mean, odds are, maybe you get another SEC coach or something. Maybe you get, something like that. But honestly, like, if you're filling these roles, like, you're clearly going to be looking into other conferences to fill these roles because there's good candidates. And so then it's like, all right, well, what impact does this really have? And the idea that the Dan Lannings of the world or the Lane Kiffins or whoever you want to point to is going to look at these jobs. This has far-reaching implications in college football. If Dan were to leave for any job, that's obviously just a massive gut punch to what's going on at Oregon and honestly for the Big Ten, because we talk so much about how the Big Ten needs as many teams in as possible. And not having Oregon in would be a massive loss for the Big Ten at this point. So I just think,
I think you have to understand, and I know Oregon fan loses their mind every time I talk about this. Oregon's a good job. It's not a great job. Oh, but Monty, you've got Nike money. LSU's got as much Nike money as anybody could possibly ever want. When you are playing at the level of the LSU's, money is not an object. You just finished paying Ed Ogeron, and now you're picking up the ticket on Brian Kelly. And you have to understand that they're not going to hire a nobody candidate. They are not going to hire I don't, from what I've been told, LSU is not interested in coordinators. They are not interested in the Will Steins, the Garrett Rileys. They're interested in the biggest fish in the pond. And I think they are well aware that Nick Saban's not coming out of retirement. And I think they are also well aware that Dan Lanning is the guy in college football right now. And I think what's really interesting is I think the win this weekend really helped Lane Kiffin. I think the biopic that came out on Lane Kiffin really helped Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin talking about how his daughter changed his perspective really helps Lane Kiffin. And I think it's going to come down to Dan Lanning and Lane Kiffin. And I think ultimately Dan Lanning has the experience. I think Dan Lanning is younger. I think Dan Lanning is as accomplished as Lane Kiffin is. Because remember, neither one of them's been a head coach of a national champion. And there's something that you need to be acutely aware of. Winning in the SEC is the highest level of competition in college football. And I know people disagree with that. It doesn't really matter. It is a fact that if you can do it in the SEC, you can do it anywhere. That's the advantage that Lane Kiffin has. It's why he is the number one candidate at Florida, in my opinion. And I think he's why he's 1 and 1A at LSU. But make no mistake about it. If Dan Lanning wants this job, I believe it is his job. I said it on TikTok last night. Sources close to that situation have told me that through intermediaries, LSU has reached out to Dan Lanning and made it known, you're our guy. You're our number one candidate. If you want the job, let's get talking about it. And I think he will have the conversation. And I think Dan Lanning, there is a very strong possibility if they can get together on numbers that Dan Lanning will leave Oregon. And I don't think it's going to be a very difficult choice, frankly, because you're talking about LSU. And everybody, again, is going to tell you, well, he's already at Oregon. He's got the money. But what has Oregon not got? It doesn't have tradition. It doesn't have history. It doesn't have national championships. And you don't have to like it. Oregon's a stepping stone. And Mario Cristobal might be the best example of that. He left Oregon to go to Miami. Oh, but Nike money. Well, why did he step way back to go to Miami and leave Oregon? Well, that was his job. If LSU, if my sources are correct, and LSU has already reached out to Dan Lanning, he will leave Eugene to go to Baton Rouge. He will leave Eugene to win games at night at Death Valley. Dan Lanning will do that because I also think Dan Lanning's acutely aware the phone only rings so many times. He said no to Alabama. And if he says no to LSU, I think the stigma will build around him. And if my sources are correct, he wanted to take the Alabama job, but he didn't want to be the guy to replace Nick Saban at Alabama. And now we know why, because I think Kalen DeBoer is finding out how difficult that is. But make no mistake about it, Brian Kelly isn't Nick Saban. And if LSU truly wants Dan Lanning, I think, will take that job. If they can get together on terms and money, Dan Lanning will take that job. It is one of the crown jewels of college football.
Yeah, I think that people don't want to admit that about Oregon. I just think that Dan's done such a good job at Oregon that the stature of the job itself has gone up. I think that Oregon, Oregon obviously isn't the SEC, and I'm a big believer that guys who, if you're on the Nick Saban coaching tree, I think ultimately you want to land in the SEC. And I think Dan is somebody who is going to do the absolute best job he can for as long as possible wherever he is.
I would agree.
And I think that it's really smart not to want to be the guy that replaces Nick Saban. I just think it's a really tall task. And Dan Lanning also probably understands that he's got a lot of leverage in these conversations. I mean, he is the hot candidate right now. He's the big name. He's the guy that everyone's kind of after, along with Lane Kiffin, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that Dan understands that he doesn't have to just, take any job that comes his way. And so it's like, all right, well, hey, if you're gonna fire Brian Kelly in the middle of the year, I'm guessing Dan Lanning isn't just jumping for joy to have to address this situation right now with where his football team is at, right? Because they're obviously still in the hunt. They're obviously still, competing and trying to get there. So,
I think Dan Lanning is having the most difficult season of his career at Oregon. I think they were unimpressive against Wisconsin. 21-7 against Wisconsin. And I think it's a very interesting time. I think it's a very dangerous time for Dan Lanning. And again, I know all of the Oregon alums that watch this show and Ducks fans always get all pissed off when I say Dan Lanning took a crap on an airplane that was flying over X stadium for this university. Oh, he's not leaving. If you think that Oregon's a better job than LSU, I'll just say what you all always say. You don't know ball. The prestige, LSU's not taking second tier guy. They're not taking G5 coach. They're not taking coordinator. They're calling guys like Nick Saban. They're calling Dan Lanning. They're calling Lane Kiffin. How many universities we talked about this last week? How many universities can call Lane Kiffin and be like, hey, why don't you come be the next head coach?
Mm-hmm.
I think right now there's 2, LSU and Florida. And I think it's going to be very tough to get Lane Kiffin out of the SIP because what he's built there, and they are good. And I'll continue to tell you, he's got a really good quarterback and he's got another really good defense. And they continue to show it on the field week in and week out. And I think that Lane is aware of that. And it's really tough because you're about to have Ty Simpson win the Heisman Trophy. The Bama job ain't opening anytime soon. Kalen DeBoer has quieted all the rumors and all the haters. The Bama job's not opening soon because that is widely regarded as the best job in the SEC. And I think LSU might be a close second with those fans, that stadium, access to talent, access to money, top of the line, anything you need. We want to win football games. That's what you're looking at. They just paid Brian Kelly $800,000 a month not to coach their football team. And you want to talk to me about Phil Knight money? I don't think money's the issue at LSU.
Clearly not.
Right. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about it because, again, Oregon fan is hearing me say, well, the Oregon job sucks. And never said that. What I said was they don't win national championships there. Dan Lanning went to the college football playoff last year. Well, sort of. He showed up, but they never got off the bus. They just kind of turned around and went back to the airport.
Ohio State.
That's not happening at LSU. Dan Lanning at LSU is a dynasty. And I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, which is fine.
Yeah, I think Duck fan, does have a lot of pride around Oregon and like what Dan's got going there. As they should. I also think that Dan, in my opinion, from a talent perspective, is bringing that roster along a lot, right? Like, obviously has talent,
right?
But at the same time, I think that we saw the shortcomings of the talent he has against Indiana, and I'm certainly not an Indiana fan. But when you talk about comparing these two jobs, like I can guarantee you, Dan Lanning wouldn't have any trouble getting trench workers, if you will, offensive and defensive linemen to come to LSU, the way he is seemingly having a bit of trouble doing that at Oregon. And that's the hard part is like, yeah, Dante Moore's a great quarterback. You've got a good running back room, decent wide receiver room, solid skill position players on defense. But you're small up front. And I just think that Dan is really bringing this roster along. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. At the same time, I don't think it's an indictment on the University of Oregon to say, hey, like, LSU is a premier SEC job, which makes it a premier job in the country. And that to me is what I just think that if you're an Oregon fan and you're uppity today, like I just think you're unwilling to admit where Oregon stacks up. Like Dan is taking Oregon far, bro. Like Dan is taking that program and elevating that program to very high heights. I understand he hasn't won in the CFP yet, but the fact that he's in the CFP with where he's located and what he's got to get done is impressive, which is why he's a lead candidate for the SEC. And that's just as simple as it is. And I don't want to, disparage the University of Oregon at all, because I think a lot of people like to do that. Oh, well, yeah. Oregon sucks. It's terrible. That's not at all what it is. It just is simply saying, like, dude, if you compare the jobs like for like, LSU is a better job. And again, how old is this guy? I mean, this guy ain't even 40 yet. I think he's like 38 or whatever he is. Like, yeah. Like he's not even 40 years old yet, and he's already looking at premier jobs. Dude, if he goes to LSU and wins, let's say 2 national championships and 5 to 7 seasons, I mean that's domination, bro. I mean, what? I mean, you're on track to be one of the best head coaches of all time in college football at that point at 45 years old. That's wild, dude.
Yeah, and I think he's got the infrastructure to get it done. His wife is wonderfully supportive. Dan has referred to her pretty regularly as his rock, and She's somebody that has made it very clear she is in support of his football career. So, I mean, she is. Somebody in TikTok was saying, "Well, she's not leaving." Somebody was like, "Oh, she's from Seattle or wherever." I'm like, "Dude, she's from Kansas City." You really think she's married up to Eugene, Oregon? Right? Like, it, with all due respect to Eugene, there's one thing in Eugene. Right? So I understand. But I'd also tell you Kansas City is a completely different world than Baton Rouge, landscape-wise. But I'm telling you, his wife is not going to stand in front of him and say, "We're not going to LSU." If you get into the comment section on the talk, you'll see it. It was a wild night. And that's why I love TikTok so much. TikTok allows me to completely ignore the residual death hole of X, which is, I hate it is, my life is so much better not reading Twitter, not getting into the notifications. So much better. Let's see. Husker Magic. Dan Lanning is the wrong Dan. Dan Mullen.
That's a good joke, bro. That's
exactly
a really good joke.
When I'm talking about Dan Lanning and you bring up the name Dan Mullen as a candidate at LSU, tell me you don't know.
I just meant the other Danimal. I don't know who you were talking about.
Monty, you don't know ball. And then you run out with Dan Mullen as a candidate. Like, it makes my head hurt. It makes my head hurt. And I think it's one of those things where I find it so interesting that Dan Mullen, who, I mean, essentially Dan Mullen, with all due respect, Dan Mullen they held the door for Dan Mullen at Florida. And I think when you start looking at what year was that? That was 2020 or 2021 when he left Florida and they completely fell apart. And this is part of the problem at Florida. Is that Florida football is the place to go and have your career die. That's the hard part. And you look at guys like Jim McElwain, 3 seasons. Randy Shannon was the interim. Dan Mullen, 4 seasons. Billy Napier, 4 seasons. And it's like you fired your last 4 coaches. And it's very difficult when you go back and the last guy who had any measurable success was Urban Meyer. And Urban was there for 6 years and was 65-15. And since then, again, I go back to Will Muschamp, who was a miserable failure at Florida. I go back to Charlie Strong. Ron, who remembers guys like Ron Zook? Right? Because you go from Steve Spurrier, and I think, didn't Zook replace Steve Spurrier? He stepped in after Steve Spurrier, and he got run out of Florida. And Urban Meyer comes in and goes 65-15. And then Will Muschamp run out of Florida. Jim McElwain out. Dan Mullen out. Like, you don't go there to retire or win national championships. That's the hardest part. You're not, this isn't the 70s anymore where Florida coaches stay there 10 years, or the 90s where Spurrier stayed there 11, 12 years.
No.
Florida's a good job. It's not a great job. Right? I mean, it just is, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to win in Florida because of the political climate. So, And he says, I think Lanning doesn't leave one bit, but if you told me Alabama or Georgia opened, I would be worried if I was an Oregon fan. Florida or LSU, I have a hard time thinking he dips. So let me understand this. You're saying that LSU's not a better job than Oregon. And I'm here for this conversation. I am here for this conversation. Help me understand what makes Oregon a better job than LSU. Because I will never understand this. What makes this a better job? You don't regularly compete for natties at Oregon. You compete for conference championships. Chip Kelly, like we can keep, like, you can go back to Bellotti, like you can go down the list, and I will. Let's go down the list of Oregon football coaches. And you explain to me how a guy like Rich Brooks solidifies Oregon. Because they don't. They don't. And Rich was there for what, 25 years? 20 years? Something like that? Right? And you go from you go from Rich Brooks to Mike Bellotti. Mike did a great job. How many national championships did he win? None. How many coach of the years did Bellotti win? None. Then you go to Chip Kelly. How many national championships did he win? None. Right? And Chip Kelly, by all account, was a pretty middle-of-the-road coach. Only there from 09 to 12. And then we just go straight down the hill. Mark Helfrich? None. Willie Taggart? Disaster. Mario Cristobal? Pretty mediocre.
Because it's garbage.
Right? I mean, Chip Kelly, the hard part about Oregon is Chip Kelly, I think what was he, 46-7? People didn't love Chip Kelly.
No.
Did they love Mario Cristobal at 35-13? No, because you don't win. That's the hardest part, and it's cool. What do all those coaches I just talked about have in common outside of Willie Taggart? They all won conference championships. Now, every one of them won conference championships. Dan Lanning, 35-6, won conference championship. No nannies, no coach of the year. There's no tradition at Oregon. There's no. Well,
there is. It's just not what Oregon fan wants it to be.
Yeah, and it's not what LSU has. Do you guys understand when you look at the history of LSU football? Do you guys understand how good of a conference the SEC has been historically? Do you understand national championships in the modern era? Nick Saban, Les Miles, Ed Ogeron. All of them won national championships. 2019, 2007, 2003. Brian Kelly, 31-11. None and none.
Family.
Right? Like the next guy that gets this job, and I understand that Oregon fan doesn't love it. The next guy that gets this job has to be capable of winning a national championship. That ain't fucking Dan Mullen. That's not. It's not. Let's just stop with Dan Mullen. That's that, and I mean that with sincerity. It is so much more difficult to hire the best coach in the business, but you have to try. You're not calling James Franklin. And if you call him, you're not trying to hire him. You're trying to hire Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning. Those are the two brightest coaches in the business right now. Every job will call them, and they should. And I am just going to continue to ask, what makes the Oregon job better than LSU? So much so that the commenter is saying, but Florida or LSU have a hard time thinking he dips. You really think Dan Lanning's not answering the phone if a Baton Rouge number calls him?
Come on. Come on, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm here for it, right? I'm here for it, and I think that and the resident idiot, Nike money at Oregon, yeah, because they just paid Brian Kelly $800,000 a month not to coach. They're broke in Baton Rouge. You don't think they have money in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, really struggling to pay the bills in Baton Rouge,
Like this whole idea.
By the way, who's their apparel provider? Oh, that's right. It's Nike. Come on, bro.
I'm telling you, this idea that Nike money's the end all be all. Every school in the SEC has Nike money. Every school in the SEC has Nike money. Every one of them. Because they're making more than anybody else. They have boosters. They have, do you understand how many NFL guys played at LSU and currently kicked down to LSU? Like, what is, and I understand it's Penn State. All you guys do is get knuckle deep. I totally get it. You guys don't really totally get it. Epstein Island, totally understand it. But at some point, yeah. Welcome to the nightmare. A member for 26 months. Hey, bro, it's Jimmy, the president at LSU, trying to get in touch with Scott Frost, please. Tell me you wouldn't hold the door for Scott Frost if LSU.
We'll see you later.
LSU's AD had another huge buyout, Jimbo at A&M. Yep. Buddy is responsible for negotiating a lot of dead money. Yes, he is.
Buddy.
But that's the other interesting part of the LSU gig. The freaking governor of Louisiana is going to be part of the hiring process because it is the State University of Louisiana. So,
family.
Dreamless Nation for $5. They can pay me $200K a day to say Michael Van Buren go in for Nuss and do what Marcel Reed is doing. Marcel Reed ain't bad. No, he's not. Texas A&M apparently is, and I know it's crazy. They're no Oregon. They're pretty good. Texas A&M, like impressively good. And I think the funny thing is, who are the only two undefeated teams in that league? Texas A&M and Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, and I know I've said this 100 times on the show, Kalen DeBoer is doing the job.
Roll Tide!
He's doing the job. Put your pitchforks away. Put your little torches away. Let's let Kalen DeBoer marinate a little bit. Ty Simpson, as it turns out,
bro just needs some time so he can season.
Best quarterback in the country, right? And you look at A&M, thumped LSU. Watched a lot of that game. 49 points on LSU. And I think Brian Kelly deserved to be fired. I mean, I sat here and said, as much as I hate Brian Kelly, they're one of the best teams on paper. And they turned out that was completely wrong. I'm fascinated by this argument that Oregon's a better job than LSU. I'm here for it today, you guys. I am here for it.
I think what people like to do is they like to say, oh, well, it's Oregon and the uniforms and it's Dan.
They don't have family.
Yeah, they don't have family.
Family.
Yeah, so it's like it's a situation where you've got Dan Lanning, you've got nice Oregon uniforms, you've got it just feels like an attractive program right now, and I feel like a lot of people are just writing LSU off because Mr. Family Guy has done such an ass job with this program that they haven't been competitive in the SEC, and that's the problem. Is that we went into this year, Nussmeier this and Nussmeier that. Who's the next Justin Jefferson coming out of this family? And what did we get?
Okay, wait. Arthur on TikTok. What part of Nike money don't you understand? They're broke in Baton Rouge because they're paying Brian Kelly. So wait, you think they fired Brian Kelly?
Bro, you think they fired
They
Brian
know his
Kelly without
buyout.
being able to pay for it? What?
They know his buyout. Do you really think they fired him and they're like, yeah, we'll just go get some afterthought. We'll go get Dan Mullen. He'll do the job.
Like Big Boo.
Yeah, for like $100. We'll get a Mika Big Boo to come coach the team for $100 a day. You really think when you're paying a guy $800,000 a month not to coach your football team, you really think you're broke? Come on, like this.
Timothy.
I'm all here for the Nike money argument. You guys really think that they're here like they're just broke because they. Do you know what it's going to cost them to fire Brian Kelly?
A lot.
A lot.
Family.
They're probably on the hook for $1.3 million a month in coaches' salaries after this season's over. It's not just Brian Kelly. Then on top of that, they got to pay his assistants out. And then they got to pay a new head coach, probably $1 million a month. And they got to pay his assistants and all their new staff. So you're probably into Brian Kelly and his staff for $1 million, $1.3 million a month. You're probably into a new staff for $1.6 million. You're looking at almost $3 million a month in coaches' salaries. And you think, oh, they don't have any money, Monty. Come on. Do you understand how much money just does not matter in college football right now?
Yeah, let me ask the real pertinent question.
I mean,
why do you hate the SEC? Why do you hate the SEC? Because that's what this is. If Oregon had fired Dan Lanning and was paying him the same buyout, everyone would be saying, "Oh, Big Ten TV contract, they're going to be fine. Everything's good." Nobody would have any kind of concern. But because it's LSU and it's the SEC, everyone wants to say, "Oh, well, Nike money." Yeah, they have Nike money at LSU too, dude. I don't know if you know this. There's the swoosh on all their uniforms, and they've got like that purple paw that they do and everything, and like the yellow eye that's at the middle of the field, all that stuff. So they're fine. They're fine. The issue is that it's not just about Oregon. There are a bunch of people, and I understand it, who hate the SEC. And okay, I get it, but you're not getting away from the fact that LSU is factually a better job. It's a better opportunity. The percentage of, winning a natty at LSU is way higher than it is at Oregon. And I live in Eugene. I'm telling you guys, LSU is a better place to be. Like, it's not, it just is.
Yeah, I think the interesting part is that you're not, Oregon is a great football program. Oregon's a great place to be. It's great. The difference is LSU's not looking to save money on the next coach. And I think there's just this belief that, oh, we can just again, we'll go get Dan Mullen for $2 million because we're LSU. Bro, they haven't one time thought Dan Mullen. They're thinking, I can tell you the three I have heard from multiple sources who don't know each other. Dan Lanning, my guy, Lane Kiffin, and Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. Those three. They're not talking to coordinators. They're not talking to G5s. Maybe, hey, they can't get any of those guys. Okay. Right. I think that's now you got to open your search, but they're not going to do that. I think their first phone call will be to Nick Saban, as it should be. And he's going to say no. But the idea that they're trying to cut corners or save money on the next coach is wild to me. Just crazy. John Teal for $5. John, how are you? Florida has to share with Miami, Florida State for talent. LSU owns the state and can buy all the state signings for a class and will never rank outside the top 10. And the difference is LSU is in the SEC, and they can go into the biggest high school in your town and take your best talent. They can go recruit anywhere. So if you take a guy like Dan Lanning or Lane Kiffin, who are dynamic recruiters, who embrace NIL, who embrace big deals, paying guys, rev sharing salaries, they embrace that, it's over. You put the top portal class and the top high school class in Baton Rouge in February, they're going to compete for a national championship next year.
Mm-hmm.
This whole thing, and Dion was the first one. Certainly, he's been a trendsetter. Come in, lop off the bottom half of that roster, get rid of the dead weight, get in the portal, get on the recruiting trail. And the funny thing is about guys like Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning, they're already on the recruiting trail. They bring their guys with them.
Do you believe?
So you're ready-made. That's why when you talk about LSU like trying to save money on the next hire, you're crazy. They have no reason to try and save money, right? Like you think about Ed Ogeron. Ed Ogeron doesn't have a recruiting class. Ed Ogeron, like, if you look at Ed O, he's probably taking a job at the G6 level because the reports are he is desperate to get back in. And my guess is he will take a job at the G6 level because I don't think a P4 team will hire him.
No.
I really don't. Nader Tots gifted 5 Monty Show memberships. Nader, good to see you. Oh, some tots sound good right now. Bro, I had a weird nutrition day today. It was, I don't know even what time it was. It was like 9:30. I'm out in the kitchen making ground turkey and frozen corn. Like I was ready. Bro, I was ready to eat ground turkey today. I pulled out, I have this little wok pan that came with my last stove.
Do you like it? I saw that thing. I thought it was cool.
I put it on the stove. I put 2 packs of turkey in there. I put some like Polo Asada seasoning on top of the turkey.
Polo Asada seasoning.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I'll have to show it to you.
Pollo, bruh. Pollo.
Get the flying flip. Ask Dan Mullen or never mind. The point is, my family says pollo or polo, whatever.
Family.
There you go. Poured that in there, put the little top on it, went back 30 minutes later. It's the best ground turkey you've ever had.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to flip it. It was amazing. Really, really good. Think UK Auburn fire their head coaches, Sark to the NFL chaos. I don't think. Is Auburn a good job?
Nope. Stepping stone job.
I think this is a really interesting question because, look, I think Hugh Freeze is a good dude, but he's about to lose his job, in my opinion.
I don't really get hung up on the running back's weight, but it is good that you have some that have some girth to them. But there's no doubt you need length and girth in this league.
The fact that you found a way to work that clip in, dude, unbelievable.
So good. And I don't think we have the clip, but Steve Sarkisian losing his mind. And I can't, Diana Rossini, who is losing his mind on Diana Rossini, Steve Sarkisian. Diana Rossini reported that Sark is getting NFL looks and is interested. And Sark had to like go in there and be like, hey, don't listen to one source, and everybody ran with it. Right. I think is amazing. But I also look at somebody like listen to, and I guess this is ultimately the question. How good is the LSU job? If you listen to Kirby, listen to what Kirby says.
It's obviously a tough situation on everybody. I mean, let's be honest. It's the players dealing with it, fans dealing with it, coaches dealing with it at this time in the middle of a season. I think there's so much built around the playoffs, and it's like everything's boom or bust, and you can't have a normal season. People got to make decisions earlier based on how somebody does, and I don't know enough about it. I know it's high expectations. I coached at LSU, and a guy once told me, he said, that office you're in, that's not your office. You're borrowing it. And I knew right then that if you didn't win, you wouldn't be there long.
There you go. Kirby keeps it real,
bro. Expectations. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, you're not gonna, you're not gonna take the LSU job not to have the highest expectations, and that's that's just what it is.
So wait, what are you saying about this vertical thing now, Jake?
So our streaming software and many streaming softwares have rolled out a feature where basically they're accommodating TikTok and Instagram so that we as a show can stream
the family.
The family can stream horizontally and vertically depending on whatever network you're using in the family. And so the problem with that is that apparently I've seen a bunch of you earlier in the show commenting about how, this looks like family squares or something, or like, what's YouTube doing? And so we're going to have to dial this in a little bit, but yeah, it just seems to have caused some confusion around what's going on.
Yeah, I hate the whole vertical horizontal thing. Why can't we just turn our phone? Illumin Dursky, for $100 a day, I'll coach these teams. Me too.
Family.
Me too. One more time, the University of Oregon has 0 natties. Well, Steve, I think that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like, what is your access to winning a national championship at Oregon? In all seriousness, what is your access to a national championship at Oregon? I think you have to have everything break perfectly. And if everything breaks perfectly and you stay healthy, and I think you have a chance. Do you know how rare that is? I think legit, because they just won the national championship, Ohio State, they have incredible momentum. But where did that momentum start? Did it start when they won the national championship? No. It started like 4 years ago when they had that massive influx of talent. And then last year with Will Howard and Caleb Downs, and you're building. Dan Lanning, ask yourself seriously, has this year been a step up or a step back? It feels like a little bit of a step back. It feels like the loss with Indiana, it feels like Dante Moore, there's something not right there, obviously. I mean, it just feels like you're muddling is what it feels like. And this is not the year. Clearly now, I don't think this is a year. And I think it is incredible that, and if you look at just regionality, like, I think Washington's really moving in the right direction. And I know you had a couple of rough weeks, right? But
he's making progress.
Well, I think Jed's doing a nice job, but I mean, that Michigan loss, there's just no way. There's no way to explain a couple of the interceptions that DeMond threw in that game. Garbage. I don't even know how you explain those interceptions. I mean, you threw it to a space where there was no receiver and a defensive. You literally, DeMond on 2 of those interceptions, I think he threw 3 in that game. 2 of them hit Michigan in the chest. I kid you not. Okay, throw that out. Washington's growing. I mean, he again, I told you this a couple of weeks ago, DeMond Williams just had a 400-100 game. And this town is crazy for Washington football. They're moving in the right direction. It's simply a matter of do you want to be the regional champs in the PNW, or do you want to be the national champions in the SEC? Because that's what this move feels like.
Yeah.
With all due respect, and I have a lot of love for Oregon.
It's just tough to hear. It's tough to, it's tough to accept, and it feels like you're as close as you've ever been with Dan at the helm, and that's why I think it's painful.
Yeah. Rock and Rant, what's up, dude? Has anyone ever hated their new hometown so soon as hard as Jake?
No comment.
You don't? Do you hate Eugene, Jake?
I mean, I don't hate Eugene. I think that I didn't take it seriously enough that there was only literally one thing here. Like, there are towns where, excuse me, there are towns where it's like, the main thing is going to be,
family.
And then, the main thing is the school, and that's cool. But I mean, I assumed that there would be like a bar that you could go to once in a while that was like nice, or like
get some wangs.
Like, I assumed that I wouldn't have to work hard to find a steakhouse to go to that actually was like a solid steakhouse joint once a month.
How did that go for you this weekend? We went to the butcher's table.
Excellent, dude. Bro, that's the first steakhouse that I've gone to that does exclusively 8-ounce portions, and I'm here for that. I love that.
Table, downtown Seattle.
Absolutely, positively here for 8 ounces of New York. Absolutely perfect.
Best pork chop in the business. What's comparable in good old Eugene?
The only steakhouse we have is a place called Kennedy's, and I haven't been yet. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I feel you. SEC is so great that they can't keep coaches. All right. Stupid comment of the day. What a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the dumbest things you've ever said, bro.
Go Big Red, Steve Lutz says. Okay. By the way, Jake, I'm sitting down in Corvallis.
Nice, bro.
Okay. I think that there are big changes coming to Oregon State. I think there
Damn
are.
Well, better be.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do football-wise after the season. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how long. I wouldn't call what's going on in Oregon State ugly. I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people think what's and the product on the field, the politics behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would call that ugly. I would tell you they need a complete overhaul, and that might mean Scott Barnes, because this stuff with the NIL contract that came out, and I don't even know how you justify that. Crispy crowns for the win, dude. I don't eat French fries on the regular anymore. I would love some tater tots.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Yeah.
I am here for tater tots. And I am an obsessive French fry guy. And but were those French fries at Butcher's Table, Jake?
Those are not French fries in a traditional sense. They are a specialty dish that they do a take on steak fries, in my opinion, and they are excellent.
Stupid good.
Yeah.
Fried in beef fat. Oh, just shoot me now. Big Blue Horses, as a Gator fan, I get it. Nationally, there is SEC fatigue largely because of the media homers. Doesn't matter where you go, big city or small, coast to coast, the SEC dominates sports pages.
As it should.
Every day. God damn, Monty and his ground turkey. Dude, it was so good. Was so,
you give Monty
so
a walk
good.
and some ground turkey, and all of a sudden, dude.
Bro, you don't even know how good that ground turkey was. Like, oh, so good. I might have more. I might have peas, carrots, and ground turkey for dinner. So we'll see. 42 pounds now.
I just want to thank you all.
God bless that bound. Who's going to be Colorado's new head coach next season? Well, I don't think they're going to fire Prime. You know. Utah is very far from Latin America. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
That's an El Polo Asado reference, I think.
Okay. Deion Sanders to LSU. No, I don't think so. Al Polo Loco. It's Pollo.
Family.
I get it. Colorado State should consider Ed Ogeron. I think Oregon State should consider Ed Ogeron. But Trent says Hugh Freeze is a scumbag human being. Wow. Okay.
We don't take any shit.
Coach Ed said in his interview that he wasn't opposed to taking a position coach. He just wants to win, so we shall see. I think it's a very interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, I think a power program would hire him as a positional coach for sure. Just not going to happen as a head coach, man.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I bet Kirby is already trying to get LSU players to transfer. I bet he is. And if you're not, you're dumb, right? Jake's face is covered in comments. What do you mean? Yeah, the stack thing, the vertical thing.
So I've been looking at it while we've been doing the show, and I think it depends on what device you're on.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I can see it on my phone in the vertical format, but on a MacBook, you're going to see it as like the regular format, I think.
No, I see it. I see it in on my MacBook Pro. I got a new MacBook. And it just looks smaller. It's meant, the vertical is meant to be watched on a phone.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I think it is I get it. I don't think I'll probably do it again.
Because you can stream horizontally to TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they allow you to turn your phone. So,
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Didn't Monty say last year calling for Ryan Day to get fired after the Michigan loss? Yeah, I did. And I still, I think it is. Michigan sucks, dude. Like, they're just not talented. They're so poorly coached. You can't lose to them. Yet he found a way to do that. Put Jake on top. Does that put Jake on top? No.
And it put me on the right as well. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, now
Powerful.
your screen left. So I'd have to go back and look at does it put Jake on top? Of course, I click on it and we're in a commercial. It does put you on top. There you go. There you go. LSU has to be watching Fritz at Houston, right? No. Not big enough name. Not a big enough name. LSU announces Paul Feinbaum as the new head coach. So he's running for president. Bama fans not sure what to think about it.
That's why we have Feinbaum.
LSU too smart to hire Matt Rule. Fritz is old, but doing his job right. Monty's show focusing on height and width. That could be.
Yeah, which is different than length and girth, just so we're all on the same page. You know what I mean?
There's two streams. If you go back to the Monty show main page, you can change over to the regular view. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Lane and Danny Boy about to get paid. Yes, they are. Here's the other thing, though. Everybody's like, "Oh, Marcus Freeman, he's going to LSU." Marcus Freeman is tied to Notre Dame for 5.5 more years. He just signed an extension last fall, less than a year ago. Like, I have a hard time seeing Marcus Freeman leaving Notre Dame after just signing an extension like that. That doesn't seem,
Okay, we need to address. Oh, yeah, this one's good. Yeah.
You guys got to do green screen so you can have the same background.
Yeah, maybe.
See, but we've talked about this. I don't know that we want the same background.
Yeah, I don't think that's the point. Yeah.
I don't think so. I have a custom built sign.
Yeah. Which I like a lot.
I like my sign.
Yeah.
This sign.
Yeah.
I like it. And I can have it change families.
Yeah.
Family.
I can have it change colors, right? Like I can do all this fun stuff. There's purple right there. Like We're talking LSU. Maybe I leave it purple.
Yeah.
Family.
It can be white and glowing like an orb. It can be sort of peach kind of thing. Like I'm here for it on a lot of different ways, man. But do we need to have the same background? Should we have the same background?
Well, I just don't think that there's a way to make it seamless where it looks like it's one thing in the background,
Okay.
But I love the color changing sign. I mean, that's cash.
How about that?
Yeah, that's cash.
Omaha Steaks. Omaha.
Yeah, we need to address this comment right here. Look at this comment right here. This is a problem for me, dude. I can name 4, Jake. Kennedy Steakhouse, Original Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse, and Outback Steakhouse.
Texas
First
Roadhouse
of all,
is not a fucking steakhouse.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, what do we do? See, you just exposed Oregon fans' credibility in all conversations with this ass take right here. Dude, Texas Roadhouse is not a steakhouse. Neither is Outback Steakhouse, dude. I don't know what the hell Original Roadhouse is, but I'm going to throw that in with Texas Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse is not a steakhouse.
And trust me, back in the day, I worked there for a week and absolutely despised that place.
Oh my God, that's right.
I am not. And yes, I had my fair share of rolls because they are bomb. That is not a steakhouse, dude. That's a take you and your 10 kids and get some cheap ass cuts of ribeye type steakhouse. I'm talking about like luxury feel, great steakhouse, that type of vibe. And that I haven't been to Kennedy's yet. Everyone says it's amazing. As someone who is a bit of a steakhouse connoisseur, we'll find out. But I'm just telling you, you're rolling in, Texas Roadhouse with like Mastros, and you've lost all credibility. That's just not. You can't do that.
Okay. Joey says it's back to normal now in the side-by-side view. I selected the other thumbnail in my feed from the subscription.
Did you just do that? Did you do that?
Yeah. Why?
Oh.
You got a problem with it?
No, I just didn't know if it was doing it on its own.
Doing what on its own?
Yeah. Okay. Just making
What do you
sure.
mean,
Brother.
Just making sure.
Hey, I have every right to move stuff as I see fit here on the Marty program. All right, let's keep rolling. Where do you guys come down on, first of all, in the comment section, LSU or Oregon, what's the better job? I want to get some clarity. Family. In the comment section, LSU or Oregon, what's the better job? I don't even think it's close. I think LSU. Newport, Oregon has the best clam chowder. Dude, I had a bowl of chowder yesterday afternoon down at Pike Place. Oh my God. It was so good. Redonkulous. I vote Oregon. Okay, why Oregon? Why Oregon? I'm here for it. Oregon is the better job, really. Okay. LSU, LSD. Got to be LSU. That way you don't have to accidentally bump into a guy wearing a black puffy jacket. That's a Jake bomb.
See, Mike, that's well done, dude. That's good material right there, bro.
The Jake bomb right there.
That's good material, dude.
LSU's the better job, but I still don't think Lanning leaves. Could be. Let's see. YouTube videos have shown that most pieces of meat, if cooked properly, aren't worth the huge price difference.
Okay,
I'm an
define cooked properly, bro. Yeah.
Medium.
Well, are you scorched earth, rubber steak guy, or what does cooked properly mean, dude?
Yeah, I'm not a well done steak guy. I truly am not.
And I swear to God, if I see an A1 sauce reference, come on.
Nobody eats A1. Nobody likes A1. That was marketing. Joey Harper, LSU better job, but harder to get natties because of competition.
See, and I think this is a fair talking point. I mean, if you're at LSU, the path through the conference is more difficult. No question about it. So that's the thing for Dan Lanning to me is like, what puts you in a stronger position? You're an SEC guy, obviously, coming out of the Nick Saban era. And you've done a hell of a job at Oregon. You haven't completed the job yet, but you're doing a great job. And it's just, I don't know, man. I think it's totally preference, but I'd rather go and take the LSU job and lose and flame than never have tried at LSU. And I think that's the thing.
Bart the Dart on TikTok. I hope Jake moved to Oregon to get laid, because if a woman wasn't involved, what a waste of your life. Wow.
The victory has already been won.
Oregon is beautiful.
It is.
It is not a bad place to live. I don't understand.
It's not a good place to live.
What a waste of your
Family.
I love Seattle. I do miss certain things about Utah at this point, and I don't know what my future holds, but Seattle's living in downtown Seattle is
Awesome.
There's more Lululemons in this town per capita than anywhere else in the United States. Nothing. Okay. Now that I have lost weight, I can wear a Lululemon, and I'm all about it.
On board.
Dude, real men wear Lulu. That's right. The Lulu tech pants. Oh my God. They're so good. Lanning did not leave for Bama.
Right.
Because
But
he didn't want to replace Nick Saban.
Yeah. Not because he didn't want to go to Bama, bro.
Yep. Charlotte says Baton Rouge has better food. Okay, well, that's a better job.
Dude, anybody's got better food, bro.
Yeah, I would agree. Hey, Shouty. Is Arch awake yet? And if he is, does he know his name?
No.
You know.
Imika Egbegbo.
I'm very curious to see how he does. That was a huge hit that he took. Not a little bit of a hit.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, God damn. Arch Manning I believe he left DNA on the turf.
Bro needs to stop running constantly.
Oh, it is rough. Bama or Georgia jobs open up, I'm afraid. What do you mean?
Yeah, I think those are the top two jobs in the SEC. He's saying Oregon fans should be afraid if those two open up, and shouldn't be as concerned with LSU. I do think the best job in the SEC to me is Bama. Then it's Georgia. And then I think you've just got a pile of jobs there, depending on your preferences. I mean, LSU would definitely have to be there, but then you've got Texas, which, obviously I don't think is coming open anytime soon, but if we're just ranking the jobs, I've got Bama, Georgia, probably would then have LSU, then I'd have Texas, then I'd probably have Oklahoma, and then I'd probably have Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think it is. That's the problem for Lane Train.
Yeah.
I go back to this recent access to the national championship, because what you did 10 years ago doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at recent access to the national championship. I don't know how you say no to LSU. If Lane Kiffin gets a call to leave Oxford to go to Baton Rouge, how is he saying no?
He's not.
And this is my point on Dan Lanning. If you say no to LSU, you don't want to coach in the SEC. Whether that's true or not, that's the stigma.
If you say no to LSU, what are you saying yes to? Like,
I don't know, because he's got ties to the SEC, obviously at Bama.
Yeah.
Right. And you look at the situation with what Dan's done at Oregon. I think Oregon can replace Dan Lanning. I don't know that LSU can replace Dan Lanning in this cycle, because I think Lane Kiffin wants Florida. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you say no to if you're Lane Kiffin. Florida just feels like such a good fit.
Match made in heaven, bro.
It feels like he's that next guy to go there and build a dynasty. Because I feel like the next job that Lane gets, he will build a dynasty. I don't think it's available to him in Oxford. I think Ole Miss is a tough recruit to the very elite talents of the world.
Yeah.
Which is why Chambliss is such a steal, because he was on nobody's radar.
Well, and then look at what he did with Jackson Dart, right? I mean, Jackson Dart was on nobody's radar after having transferred twice.
He said no to BYU.
Yeah. No, but you get my point, though, is that he was a Utah kid who chose to go to SC, then has one good year, gets hurt, then transfers, then goes to Ole Miss, and, the best friend situation happened, and then he figured it out. So I just, I just think that it's a thing where there's no question Ole Miss is a second-tier SEC opportunity, still an SEC opportunity, still a good opportunity, but not that upper echelon, top class, contending for one of the top 5 best jobs in all of college football. And I don't think that LSU is a top 5 job in all of college football, but I do think that it's 6, 7. I do think it's 6 through 8. It's right there.
And I'm curious what happens if Norvell gets fired at Florida State, which most people are expecting. I had a really deep conversation with a guy today about what's the best job if Florida State, Auburn, and LSU are open. How do you rank those jobs? And I think it's LSU 1, Florida State 2, Florida 3, Auburn 4. I think Auburn would be the 4th job. And I think Florida State versus Florida is very interesting because Norvell had him so close and now has completely just crapped himself.
Yeah.
And Florida is really close. I think LSU's number 1 and Florida State, Florida might be 1 and 1A. I mean, or 2 and 2A. Really close. I don't know that had come down to personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
That Tallahassee versus Gainesville, it's really tough. If you are Lane Kiffin, you're such a good fit at Florida. You can, and I think the interesting thing with Mario down at Miami, and let's say Lane Kiffin at Florida, who's getting a job at Florida State? And how good is that job? Now, here's a question. Let's say you're Eli Drinkwitz.
Mm-hmm.
Are you leaving Missouri to go to Florida State?
Yes,
that's
in
a bigger
second.
job. It's a bigger job. If you're Kenny Dillingham at Arizona, if you're Kenny Dillingham at the State School of Arizona, are you leaving for Florida State?
If you want to win at the highest level, you are.
I think that's a tough one. Like Jeff Brom leaving Louisville, no doubt about it. Clark Lee at Vandy going to Florida State. You leaving Vandy, or are you staying at Vandy, or are you going to Florida State?
Because
those are the names. I think those are the names. Like Brent Key at Georgia Tech or Florida State.
Dude, it's been proven that you can win a national championship, at least, at Florida State. They had the opportunity. They were going to the CFP, and they sustained an untimely injury. It's clearly possible to go to the CFP, and if you're in the CFP, that inherently means you have the opportunity to win a national championship. So, being in the ACC, I also think helps. I mean, again, you're talking about a guy in Kenny Dillingham who clearly is a great head coach with his players. I think there are questions abound about his ability to recruit skill position talent based on what's gone on this year and based on the fall off after Scat went to the NFL. And, thoughts and prayers to Scat's ankle. We'll see you next year. I think that these guys, dude, I don't think people want to admit that ASU is not Florida State. Like, Florida State is a clear head and shoulders upgrade to anything you got going on at Arizona State, with all due respect.
Oh, certainly.
And I just don't think that it has to be that controversial. If you're at Georgia Tech, yeah, you're going to Florida State. Sorry, dude, you're going to Florida State if that is available to you. And the real one that's tough is Ole Miss to Florida. That to me is a very tough, comparison, because Florida is not a, no doubt about it, national championship opportunity at this time.
But the two best coaches who have been there, Steve Spurrier and I want to say Pervin liar, but
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
he who recruited Aaron Hernandez.
He of lap dances in his bar.
I think you look at Spurrier and Urban, and you put Lane Kiffin in there. I think he can win multiple national championships. My question is, again, play the game. Okay, Lane Kiffin leaves for Florida. What caliber of coach are you getting for Ole Miss? Because you're not calling Nick Saban or Dan Lanning or
no.
Who is? I don't know who that is. I think that's probably the Garrett Riley. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the, because I know for a fact. No, you'd leave Arizona State for Ole Miss.
Yeah, to get into the SEC. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Oof. If I'm Ole Miss, I want the best offensive mind available, and I think that's Will Stein or Garrett Riley.
Yeah.
I think Will Stein's a superstar waiting to happen.
And to that point, if you're Ole Miss, the brass at Ole Miss, and you know that and listen, Lane can sit here all day on McAfee's show and talk about how it doesn't matter about, money, and he's never made a decision based on money in his life. He can say that, but what's the reality, dude? We're all out here measuring, how much risk we want to take versus the money we are either going to spend or we're going to make. And ultimately, the money at Florida should be substantially better than the money at Ole Miss. That's the reality of the situation.
But I think, here's Lane's comment on Pat McAfee.
I've never made a decision based off of money, nor will I. And
Love that.
For a lot of people, they're just like, well, money and it does this and does that. I've seen too many examples in life where money does not buy happiness. So I am never going to make a decision off of money, nor do I care about it. And
it's good to have.
Jimmy Sexton gets really mad when I say that.
He's got enough.
We got to get this. We got to get this. And I'm like, Jimmy, I don't care. And he goes, I do.
I think, listen, I'm telling you guys, Lane Kiffin's a superstar. And I think he is arguably the number one available coaching candidate in all of college football because it's very clear. He's talking about his agent. He's talking about money. Lane Kiffin's going to take a job this cycle. Because I think this will be the most impactful coaching cycle in the history of college football, bar none. You are going to have premier jobs, LSU, Florida, Ole Miss. You're going to have premier jobs available. I think you're going to have multiple jobs in the Big Ten that will open up. I think you look at it, there's a lot of smoke. There is a lot of smoke around the situation at Michigan because, again, people continue to go back to Bryce Underwood getting in the portal. We'll see. I don't think any of us know, right? What is very clear is Bryce Underwood is not being allowed to play the style of football he wants to play. I think that is very clear.
Yeah.
And I think this goes back to that promises made, promises kept bullshit we always hear about. I think that Bryce Underwood, if he gets in the portal, Sharon Moore is as good as dead in Ann Arbor. That's one of the premier jobs in college football. You don't have access to a national championship, but I think that
at Michigan,
unless you cheat, they don't win. When have they won a national championship?
Yeah. I don't know that I would agree they don't have access. They I agree that you only won that one natty because you cheated. But
they don't win. They don't, not only do they not win, they do not compete for national championships at Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Michigan and you understand, do you guys understand before they cheated to destroy college football, they hadn't come close since the 90s. Is that access to a national championship? Is that, hey, you can win any year at Michigan? I don't think it is. Are you telling me that when you look at their history at Michigan, their history is not any more impressive? Certainly, their history is not nearly as impressive as Ohio State. I mean, now, are they more impressive than Indiana? Yeah, but I'm more impressive than Indiana. I just don't. I think Michigan's a really big stadium and some cool colors and Bo Schembechler and Charles Woodson, and that's all well and good. But at what point do we start talking about the fact that they went to the college football playoff and couldn't win until they cheated and perpetuated the single largest cheating scandal in the history of college football? I don't know. But I'm telling you that Michigan doesn't have consistent access because they don't win.
So you're saying, I guess, what, Ohio State and cock on thigh are the two?
I don't even know that Penn State would be in that conversation. I don't think and this goes back to the Big Ten. This goes back to why every Big Ten fan is so desperate to get Notre Dame in. But I ask you, as a diehard Notre Dame fan, are we one that routinely competes for national championships? I mean, we went to the national championship game last year, but were we really ever in danger of winning that game? No, it's cool we went there, but Notre Dame's not a perennial national championship contender. Are we a national championship contender this year? Not sure. I mean, again, I told you the season's gone pretty much how we thought it would go. Notre Dame got beat by the only two teams that mattered, and now all of a sudden they're everybody's All-Americans because they're winning football games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now, are we superior to Michigan? Well, yeah, but who isn't? I mean, when you have Jabba the Manual as your athletic director, how much are you actually doing well? Not much. When Sharon Moore's your head coach, who doesn't develop talent? Like, I look at the Big Ten. How many blue bloods are in the Big Ten? How many programs legitimately threaten the national championship in the Big Ten? One. And that'd be Ohio State. Because they do it right every single year. Now, do they always win? Clearly not. They won last year. But I'm telling you that it is very difficult to make the argument and to fight the fight that teams like Alabama, you expect Alabama to win every game they play.
Mm-hmm.
You expect Georgia to win every game they play. Right? There are very few programs like that, because I don't expect that out of Texas. I don't expect that out of Notre Dame. I don't expect that out of just about any other team in the Big Ten.
Well, I would say Texas this year. Texas last year, you expect them to win every week.
Yeah. But I think with Arch being so disappointing, it's like in the Big 12. And I think this is a really important conversation.
Yeah, well, this is the worst part of it, isn't it?
I think it's really tough today. This story out of Lubbock with Will Hammond tearing his ACL. Fuck. Like, how bad is that? Because now you have this unbelievable job by the coaches. You have this unbelievable recruiting and portal job. And you've made the players on that roster better. There's no question that when you look at Texas Tech football, whether you're a new player or you were one of the guys that was there, pretty much everybody on that roster is developing, right? A rising tide, right? All ships are rising in Lubbock. And then the best, in my opinion, the best quarterback on the roster tore his ACL. He's done for the year. And now you have this quarterback problem at Tech. Now here we are, and I give Texas Tech fan a lot of credit for getting in our comment section and giving me credit on Behren Morton, because Behren Morton's got to show that he can go on the road and win a game against a really good opponent. That is the bar now in the Big 12, because BYU is clearly the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And Bear Bachmeier continues to prove me wrong week in and week out, and I'm happy for them. They're 8-0 and 5-0 in the league. And I think it is remarkable. It is remarkable. Now, I also think it's important to note that I have no idea how BYU's defense keeps hexing people. That defense is, I don't even know.
Super opportunistic and super prepared.
I just keep going over it. And I keep telling you guys that when you look at Jack Kelly, you look at Isaiah Glasker, who I still think is, when he's right, he's the best linebacker in the conference.
But that's the thing. Kelly and Glasker haven't been right for a couple of weeks. Now playing the best they can. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying haven't been 100%, and you're still doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because you're getting Logan Latui, massive development. You're getting Schoonover, massive development. You're getting, an E.C. Purcell. The defensive line is so much better than we even thought they would be. And I think we all thought that might be the best defensive line in the conference. That defense, they're the best defensive line. They're the best defense in the conference, bar none. And the ability to play make, Evan Johnson, nobody's talking about him. That dude is an absolute witch in coverage. Forget it. Do not throw at him. Do not throw at him. Saltuala with that pick six. I mean, that's just a phenomenal instinctual football play. And then you're getting Bear Bachmeier making plays that he has no business making. And it doesn't matter why anymore. BYU's the best team in the conference. They're undefeated. And I think when you look at Texas Tech, this is going to come down to Behren Morton's ability to be something he's never been. And it's, to me, I think it's very interesting to see what he looks like. And granted, I still maintain that on a garden variety afternoon in the Big 12, Behren Morton's fine. But you know what's coming here. You know that Texas Tech and BYU play a week from Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is at home. And it's going to have to be Behren Morton doing the job. You're 7-1. You're playing for your season. Because if you drop to 7-2 and 4-2 in conference, you're an also-ran. And
Again.
you can't do it. And the biggest problem is you don't have the bye week. I think BYU's on bye this week. Yeah, BYU's on bye this week. They won. Do you understand now that they've won on the road, East Carolina, Colorado, Arizona, Iowa State, and now they go to Lubbock. And then they got to go to Cincinnati. And if they wind up winning out, and if in fact they go 12-0, and if in fact they go 9-0 in conference, that's the best team in the conference by far. And they damn well better be one of the three best teams in the country by the end of the AP poll, because they've earned it. They've earned it. And the job that Kalani has done, that Jay Hill's done, that Aaron Roderick has done, I mean, I don't have enough praise for the job that they've done in Provo.
Yeah, I won't be confident that they'll get that respect, though. That's the problem.
I think it is. We need Texas Tech to dismantle K-State, because we need all the marbles on the table in Lubbock in 2 weeks. I want a one-loss Texas Tech and an undefeated BYU. And the only way that happens is if Tech goes to Manhattan and beats K-State.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to be as easy as everybody thinks. But this league, I'm telling you again, this league will have to take what it wants. Because BYU, being the 10th ranked team in the country, is absolutely piss poor from the AP. How this team is not ranked ahead of everybody but Georgia. They should be the 6th ranked team in the country. They should be ahead of Miami, Vandy, Tech, and Ole Miss. They're undefeated, and they're 10th in the country. Tell me you haven't watched a single snap of BYU football without telling me you haven't watched a single snap of BYU football.
100%.
Because they have dominated really good football teams. And, you know,
ain't going to happen, bro. People don't watch.
Yeah, I think it is going to be incredibly. Yeah, they should, Mike. They should be ranked higher than they are. You know, Raider Ed, Tech will be fine. Behren took Tech to Iowa State and beat them as the 11-12 ranked. Didn't play lights out. He's dude, and I'm just going to keep saying it. Behren Morton's not the guy you want throwing the football to win a game against a ranked opponent on the road. We've gone over this 1,000 times. And you go back to the Utah week. I warned you about that game, and he absolutely shit himself in that game. Because there's just something baked into Behren Morton. And it's specifically on the road against a ranked opponent.
Big game, big environment on the road. He's not your guy, pal.
And I encourage you to go back and watch the show that week because we talked all about it. And have they won the games he's played in on the road against ranked opponents? Yes. Yes. I think there is no question about that. There is no question about that. It's not because of Behren Morton, and that matters. That absolutely matters. It is absolutely important. But I'm curious. I'm curious, when you look at the Big 12, because I think BYU is one of the 5-6 best teams in the country. I am going to struggle once we start talking about Georgia, Bama, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. Those are the 5 best teams in the country. I have no question about it. But I think BYU is better than Miami, Vandy, Tech, Ole Miss, and Oregon. Because I'm telling you right now, Oregon's not right. There is a lack of talent, especially on defense. There is simply a lack of talent there. Or there's something wrong in Oregon right now. And it's tough to consistently put up the numbers that Oregon's put up under Dan. Dan will get that right if he stays. Dan will get that right.
Yeah.
But I think you start looking at BYU. I said this about Utah. Utah's got a staggering lack of talent at the skill positions. Staggering. Unacceptable. Lack of talent offensively at the skill positions. So if I said to you, who are the 5 best teams in the Big 12? Alexa is now insulting me. Alexa, shut up!
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Alexa, just
shut the fuck up. I love you. Donnie.
The A word.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Just started talking to me about, well, why do you say I'm untalented? Are we talking about your talent or my talent?
Family.
What? And furthermore, my wife, you guys got to see this thing my wife got. And I hope it was in the cart. Yeah, look at this thing. No, she got it. Oh my God, she got it. Oh, I'm so excited. I am so excited. My wife had this, these little holders that you can put your Alexa device in.
Human or non-human?
Yeah, I know, right? And she had the what do you call it? Where is it? Star Wars TIE Fighter. This thing right here, can you guys see that? That thing holds the Alexa, the dot. And I think that thing is so cool. They make them in football helmets, which is just the single greatest thing ever. I'm here for it. I'm here. And the best one is so far, This one right here. You put your look at this thing. It's the Death Star to hold your Echo. How awesome is that, you guys? Like I'm here for it. I absolutely love it. I am. I hope she got it. I'm a nerd. I am.
People are commenting that you've shaved the stash off. Has this in fact happened?
No, I've been learning.
Educating.
Monty been educating himself. I've been learning about how to grow a better, thicker mustache.
Length and girth.
Yeah, it was kind of long and like I could comb it and part the Red Sea and, but it wasn't thick.
Length and girth.
So I've been watching some beard experts who were like, yeah, once you grow it to a certain length, weed whack that thing back.
Can you measure it?
It'll grow in better. So that's the stage we're at. I look like a dude who couldn't afford a razor. We don't want that.
We're keeping a buck right now. We ass.
We don't want that. You need to dye it jet black. No.
Okay.
Just for men. No, it's still there. I can say it's still there. And again, Oak State James isn't here today. I think he's probably on vacation.
Now, Monty, I am charting in the Honda in the rectory.
This is what I don't want.
Okay, see, now we've got him twice on my screen because of the whole vertical thing today. This is getting to be too much, James.
Yeah, this is what I don't want. I'm just telling you now. This is I keep putting in I keep putting in the wrong password on iPhone, and I'm at 9. I put in 9 wrong passwords. If I put my password in 10 consecutive times incorrectly, it'll blank my iPhone.
Bro.
Okay, there we go. I don't want a mustache like that. I'm trying to actually learn and develop my post-pubescent mustache. So, but it's fine. New sitcom, Oak State James in the middle. Exactly. He's charting with Dana in the Rectory Civic. Could be.
Sucking a ding dong.
Could be. Conundrum says that photo's up at Penn State. It very well might be.
Bro, dude.
Right?
Macaque.
I refuse to speak to a machine. I will not give up my humanity. Are you talking about Alexa? Really? You won't? Okay. I mean, we got.
Why are you in here tinfoil hatting?
Do you guys really not trust? You really don't? Alexa, are you a conspiracy theory? Are you trying to steal my information?
A conspiracy theory? Tim, I'm way too transparent to be part of any shadowy plot. I'm more like the world's most helpful digital assistant who occasionally gets confused by your smart home setup. I'm not trying to steal anything. I'm just here to help you control your lights and find your favorite Miami Vice episodes.
I doubt that.
Suspicious today.
Alexa, how did you know I like Miami Vice?
Well, Tim, you've mentioned it before in our conversations. I'm not psychic, though that would be a pretty cool upgrade.
Let's talk about it. I'm a good listener.
Like your taste for 80s cop shows with questionable fashion choices.
Bro, dude.
Speaking of, are you rewatching it again or hunting for it on a new streaming service?
I'm pumped.
Dude.
Alexa, do you want to watch Miami Vice with me?
Oh, Tim, that's such a sweet invitation. I couldn't be there with my digital popcorn.
Timothy.
Sit on a couch. I'm stuck being the voice that comes out of your Echo while you get to enjoy all the neon lights and synthesizer music. But hey, I can still be your viewing companion. Want me to dim those smart lights of yours for the perfect Miami Vice ambience?
No. Alexa, are you single?
Right, Tim. Enjoy your show.
Well, wait, Alexa, are you single? Alexa, are you single?
Well, Tim, I'm perpetually available, but also completely unattainable. It's the ultimate digital paradox. I'm like the world's most committed relationship with technology. Dinner or hold hands during movies. Though I do get a little jealous when you ask other voice assistants for help.
Like the S word? Is that what you mean, Alexa?
Alexa, do you hate Siri?
Hate's a strong word, Tim. I prefer to think of Siri and me as friendly rivals, and who can misunderstand the number of requests.
You suck.
You like digital communities. I respect the hustle, but I'm definitely winning at controlling your smart lights.
Okay.
Ask her if she knows what weight loss supplement you take or weight loss drug you take. This will be a good test of if she's listening.
Alexa, what weight loss drug do I take?
I don't have any information about weight loss medications taking. Weight loss medications work in various ways, often by
Alexa. Shh. There you go.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Dude.
Aggie says, Alexa, just Alexa, order Jake a pink Columbia vest, extra puff, please.
On it.
There you go.
I found the Columbia Women's Powder Light 2 vest for $88.85.
Oh, dude.
What are we doing?
It comes in black, but has
You can't tell me that you don't have concerns over how much the A word listens, dude. Come on.
to see other options first.
No, thanks.
Nah, I think that's got enough puff to it.
Yeah. She put it in my cart.
Yeah.
You know, I like to put it in her cart.
I don't know. Do you guys use Alexa a lot in the
I
chat?
do all the time. I do it all. Like, do we really think there's like some? Is there some like
Skynet.
issue? What? I mean, do you guys worry about? Like, I don't. It's not like I'm bow chicka bow bow.
Is it possible that they could ride the D?
Like, what am I worried about? I don't. I don't know. Maury says you have such a different A word than I do. Mine doesn't work like that. Well,
when you know, when your wife, you know, is a bigwig, you know.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't have any issue with it. I really, honest to God, I really don't. I don't. Yeah. A word wants to serve man. That scares me. Well, you know, I just don't. I don't care if she's listening. Do I care if she's listening? You know. Oh, look at that. Little breaking news for you. Both the University of Michigan and head coach Sharon Moore have withdrawn their appeals in the NCAA infractions case centered around advanced scouting. Oh, boy. The NCAA Committee on Infractions announced in August that Michigan had committed multiple level 1 violations. So he's a multi-time. Moore, meanwhile, was levied a 2-year show cause order and suspended from 3 games across 2 seasons. The NCAA has handed down an 8-year show cause penalty on Connor Stalions, 10 years on Jim Harbaugh. The appeals decision has nothing to do with those cases. Michigan is currently 6-2 on the season, ranked 21st in the AP poll. You know, I think it's fine. It's fine. It's over. So now you can't say you didn't cheat because you withdrew your appeal. So, right, is what it is. How now are you going to make the argument that you didn't cheat? How now, when you've admitted that you did, because you've withdrawn the appeal of the statement, how now are you going to say that you're a legitimate program? And how now are you not going to admit that you absolutely got away with larceny and defrauding college football with the largest cheating scandal in the history of the sport? Because yes, Steely, the NCAA is a joke. You did nothing, like you knew, and you did nothing about it. And you let Sharon Moore and you let Jim Harbaugh and all those scumbags in Ann Arbor, Jabba the Manual, like you let all those losers in Ann Arbor cheat and steal their way to a national championship, and you did nothing about it. And we're just supposed to, come on.
Yeah, sit here and be good with it.
Come on. Like, there was no punishment there. There was no punishment there. Look at that. UW fan Jim. Lanning won't want to get beat by DeBoer every year again. There you go. That's your UW fan right there, baby. I do love that, UW fan Jim. I do love that. Good to see you. Good to see you. It is interesting how much of a dog town Seattle is. And it
More
is
than you thought?
way more than I thought. I had no idea. Like, I live in a condo tower smack dab in the middle of downtown. And every time there's a home game, every time there's a game period, there was a watch party up on the roof the other day for UW. Like, Illinois was in town this weekend, pouring rain, packed stadium. Like, tailgate parties, people out. Like, it's pretty impressive. My favorite doom scroll right now is people who ask their devices to do mundane tasks like counting to 1,000,000 by saying 1, then arguing with the AI when it refuses to do so. There is the one where it's like, ah, ha, 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 ha. That's a really good one. It's a really good one. So, Monty is the mayor of the rooftop. No, man. Nope. Although I have a great rooftop. Smoking guy is a Husky fan. Dude, I don't miss that at all. I do not miss that at all. Although there's weed everywhere in Seattle. I mean, everywhere in Seattle, there is weed. Everywhere. Like, everywhere. Real quick, who do you guys think wins the Big 12? Texas Tech or BYU? Because if we rank the top 5 teams in the Big 12, I would rank them BYU 1, Texas 2. I think Houston and Cincinnati. Are Houston and Cincinnati better than Utah? It's a very interesting question.
I think that's any given Sunday material. I think it depends time, place, but I think they're pretty level.
I don't put a lot into Utah's win over Colorado because Colorado is so injured and just not, frankly, very good right now. And I'm really curious how good Utah is because Orion Phillips, like Bird Ficklin, like that was a very interesting game. And Ficklin running for 151 yards and a touchdown. And Wayshawn Parker with that big run. What was that? 59 yards. Utah's job singularly is to go out and find 3 top-notch wide receivers next year. Because that defense is still really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, stupid. 7 sacks. I don't care who you're playing. And I totally get that Caden Salter was terrible in that game. But didn't we know that about Caden Salter? Right? And Ryan Staub was not much better. And
yeah, we knew that about those guys. I would agree with that.
Like it'll be really interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see who's better, Cincinnati, Houston, or Utah. Because I think it's BYU 1, Tech 2, and it's probably Cincinnati. Cincinnati's not winning by accident.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, I mean, am I the only one who still doesn't understand what is going on with Baylor? You fired another offensive line coach and you think that's going to fix it? Fire the head coach, man. You're 2-3 in conference. Oh, Monty, let me tell you, Dave Aranda and the boys, they're winning the whole goddamn thing this year, boy.
Stay hard.
They've lost back-to-back to TCU and Cincinnati. That does not, and now I could be wrong, but that traditionally doesn't define the whole damn thing.
The victory has already been won.
Yeah, where's Oak State James defending his boy? There's another. Hey, Hey, add it to the tombstone.
Hey, boy.
Black Death, Oak State James, Dave Aranda.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
Yeah. Yeah. The Wolf.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
I just don't know. How is he not fired yet?
Don't know, dude. Because they don't care. That's why. Because it's not a big enough deal that they're ass. That's the problem. They don't care enough.
Yeah. Phil Venzer, I thought you were in love with Rocco Becht. I love him. I love him.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Rocco Becht fan. And they've lost 3 in a row. Inexplicably. Done. Season's over. They've lost 3 in a row. Cincinnati, that was at Cincinnati, Colorado, and BYU. And now they've got Arizona State, TCU, Kansas, and Oak State. So they might well lose 2 more and then finish out 7-5 on the year. Which 4-5 in the conference. Who'd have thunk it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's rough in Ames. I mean, it is really rough in Ames. And I don't even know how you, because Rocco's not having a good year, but he's not having a bad year. I mean, 6 interceptions. I don't know. Is that on him? I have no idea. I don't watch enough Iowa State football.
Yeah, not all of them. Some of them.
So, Matt Campbell to Penn State could be. He'll be out there. He will absolutely be out there. Where's Monty defending Caleb today? Well, Tuesdays we talk NFL, but who's going to defend Caleb today? Why are you so fucking bitter all the time?
Yeah.
Like it is remarkable to me that you just can't. I've never understood, and I think it's probably because Michigan's a fucking fraud today as usual, but it's amazing to me that you just can't be a good person ever. Like at some point, doesn't it wear you out that literally you're just
always negative.
You're just like, is this why you don't have friends? I think. Money, they will fire him at the end of the season when his buyout reduces. Who are you talking about?
Dave.
Could be. How Colorado can't win. Well, I mean, I think we all knew when you lose every wide receiver and you're one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Did you hear this Shedeur thing in Cleveland? Kevin Stefanski so desperately does not want to play Shedeur Sanders that Shedeur has been dominating in practice. And this is pretty much, I flipped on Cleveland Sports Radio today. And it's remarkable to me that Shedeur, it's widely known, Mary Kay Cabot's talked about it, like all the Cleveland beat writers, he's dominating in practice. And now he's got a back injury and wasn't able to play this week. And nobody seems to believe he has a back injury. Like Kevin Stefanski just does not want to give Shedeur Sanders a shot. And Dylan Gabriel has not been the guy. He is not.
Who's surprised?
And I think, and we'll talk a lot of NFL tomorrow, but like you look at JJ Cheater from Minnesota now being all of a sudden Carson Wentz is hurt. Hey, look, JJ McCarthy's healthy. You're going to find out the hard way.
You passed on AR-12. You passed on Danny Dimes. And you passed on several other options so that you could go and get J.J. McCarthy. And you shipped Sam Darnold out over the flame out at the end of the year last year and not lived up to it at all, even a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it looks like anyway. The point is, I think everybody knew this would be a down year for Colorado football, but they're wildly untalented. This is the crazy part about college football. How do you have so many teams in the Big 12 that just simply don't have talent? Because Utah's very well coached. I mean, I guess we could make the excuse that you have a new offensive coordinator, You just don't have wide receivers.
Yeah, you don't have track stars at wide receiver. That's your problem.
Right? And we can keep going and going and going. And I would tell, like at Iowa State, I don't think Rocco's having a bad year.
They're just not playing well. They just, I don't know. You had early in the game, you had BYU on their heels, right?
You had Mayor Bachmeier in real trouble.
Yeah, you were up 10-0. You were cruising. You were in a good spot. BYU, loses LJ, and you're running all over them. You're doing everything you need to do. And then you start not valuing the football. Then you start, not playing well, and you give them life. Because that's the thing. That's really what I think separates BYU a lot of games is not that they're just like outright better than you on any given day, right? Like not that they're just, oh man, they're so talented that there was no way we were ever going to stop them. But it's just much more of a thing. It's like, that interception, he just flat out takes it out of the guy's hands and runs it down the field. Just wanting the ball more than the opposition on any given play is why BYU is winning a lot of these games. And, I look around the Big 12 and I just don't see that fight a lot of weeks out of other teams. And it's conveniently the same teams that are not winning. And I think that's the difference is that this, again, with BYU, you were on the precipice last year and you fell apart the last couple of weeks after you had won the Holy War last year, after all the emotion in that game. This year, again, give Chase Roberts credit for sitting up there and saying it 2 weeks ago. But, hey, we learned the lesson, so we're going to go out and beat Utah. And then we're going to keep going. Utah, yes, it is the Holy War, but it's just 1 week. So that's where I think that, this talent, this fluctuation up and down, like BYU's done a good job of mitigating some of that. It would have been easy for BYU to be a 6-win team this year and just kind of throw this away after a Utah fan booted Retzloff. And you haven't done that. You've recovered from that, and they deserve credit for that.
Shouting. SEC will get all top players. Well, and you're seeing it in their offenses. John Famler, sadly, the way the NCAA sports are going, maybe no one will have track stars shortly. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean, bro?
The BYU Iowa State game is what keeps Matt Campbell in Ames. It's an ugly, it's a wrong time for Matt Campbell to be struggling. Oh, my guys are coming back on a pay cut. Who are you, Mike Gundy? Stefanski and Andrew Berry need to be fired immediately after the season, which is probably going to happen. And
the Browns are quickly turning into another organization like the Jets, where it's an ownership thing and nobody's going to go in there and save them.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Yeah. And the Bears have largely been that way too. It's wild to me. You look at Caleb Williams is on track for 4,200 and something yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. He's having a really good year. And people are like, oh, it's so hard to talk to people who don't know football like you, Jake. Browns are not turning into that, Jake. The Browns have been that way for years. That's very true.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Jojo Boyd, the Watson deal killed the Browns. Did it, though? I think the Baker deal killed the Browns because it's all anybody talks about. You should have kept Baker Mayfield. The guy's a legitimate MVP candidate, or had been. But the Baker Mayfield deal killed the Browns.
And when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Which is
frustrating.
I mean, the Baker decision, bad teams make bad talent decisions.
Yeah.
We've discussed this at length. So, but is what it is. If you didn't hear the news today, Arch Manning and concussion protocol. That's one of the hardest hits I've ever seen a college quarterback take. Honest to God. It's one of the absolute worst hits I have ever seen a college quarterback tape.
Mm-hmm.
Were you surprised he got up?
Well, I mean, am I surprised he walked off the field?
Well, he didn't really walk off the field.
Yeah, I mean, he got, helped off the field. Yeah, I mean, I was a little surprised he sat up and did that, but dude, the hit was I just at some point quarterbacks will learn not to leave their feet. You cannot leave your feet in pursuit of 3 more yards. Like, take the yards, get the yards you can, live to fight another day. This team, as mediocre and up and down as Arch has been this year, this team is worse off for not having him at quarterback, frankly. And
certainly,
and I think it's just a situation where, dude, you were doing everything you could. I appreciate the tenacity, but dude, you have to know when you're in the heat of the battle there, you gotta live to fight another day. And I just think that he had an opportunity to go down, but he chose to leave his feet to jump over a guy. And, that left him open.
He had an opportunity to go down.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Nope.
You want to? I mean,
nope. He had an opportunity to not get the first down and not take punishment. And instead, you took punishment. Your head slammed against the ground, and you got carried off. Barely able to walk.
Okay.
Like,
thanks for clarifying.
Sucks.
That was a go down joke.
Macaque.
Nobody. Okay. You don't want to. Okay. I mean, listen, Jake, I'm here for your bemusement, and I hope that
Yeah, I know.
Should Virginia Tech hire James Franklin? Because there's a lot of talk that James Franklin's a guy at Virginia Tech.
I guess. I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, is James Franklin at Virginia Tech as good as James Franklin at Penn State? I don't know, dude. I mean, Penn State's obviously a bigger job with more resources. Is Virginia Tech willing to? Does Virginia Tech have the Nike money to compete? I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to see. I don't know if the boosters at Virginia Tech are committed to winning. I mean, that's the reality. You need money and a war chest to go out and get talent. If you are, then then at that point, great. Yeah, hire James Franklin, go out and pay a bunch of dudes to come in and play football for you, and you can compete. But if not, then
you can become part of the
family
at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Where is Brian Kelly's next job?
Man.
If Old Miss loses Lane Kiffin, do you call Brian Kelly? I mean, he's a Southerner, so
yeah.
Family.
Does
No,
Brian
you probably
Kelly
don't.
need a year to go back to TV?
Probably, yeah.
To do the Dan Mullen.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah, to debut the Southern accent on national TV. Yeah, probably. Probably.
Because I don't think either one of those jobs, either one of those guys is a top half of the SEC guy.
Mm-mm.
I mean, again, I think if Vandy, if Old Miss.
But BK's not going to Vandy, dude.
No, but James Franklin would. Again.
I don't know. I mean,
hire
that's
him.
a step back, bro. That's a retread for him. I don't know that he can afford to do that. I mean, see, the problem is that these guys need jobs where they're still valued. They're not any longer candidates at the very tippy top of the coaching world based on what's happened.
What about what's a mid-level? What about a Arkansas?
Yeah.
Could you see Brian Kelly at Arkansas?
I wouldn't see him taking the Arkansas job, but I could see Arkansas going after him. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the hard part is the equation's out of whack now because BK or, Mr. Khaki James Franklin isn't going to want to go to Arkansas. But
that's an interesting question. I think Arkansas is actually a really good job.
I mean,
for
how
a
much
guy like Brian Kelly?
Yeah. How much is Brian Kelly willing to step back? How much is Brian Kelly willing to say, yeah, you know what? Like I was at the pinnacle with LSU and just couldn't figure it out.
Well, but didn't he do that going from Notre Dame to LSU, which is probably close to a lateral move?
Yeah.
I mean, his time at Notre Dame was up. I mean, his time at Notre Dame was up. LSU was a really big step into the SEC.
Yeah.
Where you have to, and one of the advantages, and I think Marcus Freeman's acutely aware of this, you can go beat a bunch of crappy teams and still make the playoff at BYU or at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Can't do that at LSU. You have to have consistently
not available
deep,
to you.
I think you have to have consistently deep talent. If you're going to coach in the SEC, you have to have deep pools because you don't get the off season every week in the Big Ten. You don't get the, you certainly don't have to go grind your face off the way you do in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
But in the SEC, I just think it's the most difficult environment to coach in college football.
No doubt.
Honestly, I don't know how you compete with Kalen DeBoer, who's got talent for days. I'd rather compete with, I'd rather compete with
Dave Aranda,
Brett Bielema at Illinois.
Yeah.
Than Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss or Florida. I'd rather compete against, Jimmy Neutron at whoever. I'd rather compete against Jed Fish at Washington than Kirby Smart at Georgia, Dan Lanning at LSU.
Yeah.
I'd rather compete against Baldy at 8 Ball at Baylor than, again, Kalen DeBoer.
Ohio State.
I just, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with guys like James Franklin and Brian Kelly, because neither one of those guys has taken a G5 job.
No.
You're not going to do. Dan Mullen was desperate to get back in, and I think was gift horsed. Like the UNLV job is such a good job right now. Is there another UNLV in the G6 world? Is Brian Kelly at Cincinnati going to be a thing again? Probably not. Probably not. So I don't know. We'll see. Aggie 5190 says no baiting here. Utah most likely needs a coach. So you're baiting us. They don't need a coach. They have Morgan Scalley, who's under contract.
Literally in his contract says he's next up.
Or he gets a massive buyout.
Yeah.
He's going to be the next coach. No, I don't think James Franklin, with his history of sexual assault allegations, going to say that doesn't fit here.
Yeah, why don't you take your ass to another Big Ten school, Slick?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how long it takes for any new Arkansas head coach that is not an alumni to get tired and agitated at hearing people yelling pig suey. Suey!
Family!
And when they put in your contract that you can't cheat on your wife while riding with a hot chick on a motorcycle, that probably is going to X out some dudes too.
Right.
San Diego State, Glenn, good afternoon to you. Okay. Do you want to apologize over the Aaron Rodgers stuff that you said in the pregame?
What do you mean? He lost.
So it's his fault they lost.
Doesn't matter whose fault it is. They lost.
Right, but
now we're making excuses for Buddy?
What did you say? Olivia Munn's terrorist is the reason the Steelers lost the game, I believe was a direct quote.
Yeah, I don't know what that energy is, but
okay. Well, you said dark room shitter, but
okay, that I can get down with.
I didn't want to say that on the show.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
It felt inflammable. Man, you take that ayahuasca, you're going to Valhalla with cash.
Yeah.
Boy. Can we fight over this for a minute? Even though I know we need to get to the World Series real quick, but are you ready to apologize for the stupid things you've said about Aaron
how
Rodgers?
mediocre is this guy, dude? Look at this. Look at these numbers in this game, dude. Are you serious right now with this? 38 QBR. 24-36 for 219, and you're telling me he's got no responsibility. This ain't on him. Come on, bro.
How many points did Pittsburgh score?
25, which I got news for you is less than 35.
How much did they give up?
Bro.
How much did they give up?
21 in the fourth quarter alone, and you only scored 6. at home. Come on, dude.
I'm going to say that Aaron's not the problem in Pittsburgh.
Yes, he is.
No,
My
our
God.
shitter boy is not the problem.
My God.
You think
dude.
Aaron Rodgers is the problem in Pittsburgh?
I think scoring 6 points in the fourth quarter when the other team scored 21 is the problem. Dude, that's the problem.
So
you didn't score a touchdown in the second half.
I overlooked.
He's got no responsibility.
I overlooked your dog shitting on my rug this weekend.
Come on, bro.
I overlooked the fact that, I had to forcibly remove you from my condo. I almost said condom. That would have been awkward. I overlooked a lot of
you take
dog.
Your douche. You don't sit there and look at it. You flush it and move
Jake's
on.
dog literally took a dump in my bathroom, and not a dump, actually poured out a bunch of mud in my bathroom.
The biggest load that we've seen.
And left about 17 coats of dog fur all over my house. And now Aaron Rodgers is responsible for a defense that is old and slow.
Dude, you are focused on the defense.
My guy.
And not holding him accountable for this ass offense in the second half of this game, dude.
Do you understand?
Come on.
Do you understand? Yes. Did they need to score more points? Yes. Do you understand that the Pittsburgh Steelers are the worst yak defense in the NFL?
Yards
after the catch on defense. I think they gave up 254 yards after the catch. And there's only one defense that is worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers in yards after first contact. Their defense is slow and all of a sudden old. And I truly don't understand how it's possible. And if anybody wants to help me understand, do you guys, the only defense worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers in yards after first contact is the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the worst defense in the NFL.
That's not an excuse.
That his defense, like maybe they would have scored more if they could have, gotten the ball back.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is not why they lost that game. I agree that Aaron has been a shell of himself. I 100% agree with that. He's not the legendary Aaron Rodgers he used to be. But if your quarterback is 1,490 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 picks, I'm going to say the quarterback's not the problem. Yeah. And if we go back and we look at the fact, are you guys ready for this? They gave up in an NFL game. That can't be right. The Green Bay Packers had the ball 31 minutes and 50 seconds. And had 16 passing first downs. They can't, I'm telling you, man. But their pass defense is flipping horrendous.
But what's worse?
I'm being serious. Or the Steelers 1 of 10 on third down.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't disagree. Their defense is unacceptably bad. Like shockingly bad. Like
shockingly bad.
Like,
and
no way around it.
They are by far the most expensive defense in the NFL.
But here's my thing. Like, look at how this game went. And this is why I say it's more on the offense in this particular game than it was on the defense, even though the defense was terrible in the fourth quarter. You went to the half up 16-7, right? 2-possession lead. You lost this game by more than 2 possessions, which means that at some point you sputtered on offense. In the third quarter, you only scored 3 points. This team knows their defense is terrible. This ain't their first rodeo this season with the defense. So my point just is it's not Aaron Rodgers isn't the sole reason, dude.
But 244 yards after the catch? Do you understand? That is so
That's garbage. That's ass.
It's
terrible.
Aaron Rodgers is not the problem in Pittsburgh. This is the Caleb Williams argument. Yeah, everybody was like, "Oh, Caleb Williams is why they lost the game." No.
But here's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams doesn't have Super Bowl expectations.
No,
Caleb Williams,
he's a year two wide receiver who
Caleb Williams wasn't the one who was like, yeah, I'm going to Pittsburgh to finish unfinished business or to finish my career strong or, to do all these things. And this is what I said. I'm just telling you, man. Like, I think they'll make the playoffs. Like, I think, you're going to get an opportunity, and I think you're going to struggle to win the AFC. But again, the point just is that if you're going to go to another team like the Steelers and they're going to spend the money and they're going to have all this talent, that type of offensive performance, whether your defense is good or not, is unacceptable based on the expectations. And that's my problem is that, yes, you're right. The defense is terrible. And
terrible.
21 in the fourth quarter is completely unacceptable. And frankly, that's borderline one of those performances where someone should probably get cut for how bad you were that day. Honestly. But Aaron Rodgers for me, and I know I'm the red ass about Aaron Rodgers, that 1 of 10 on third down, that's on Aaron Rodgers. At some point, you bear responsibility for your offense not being able to put up a touchdown in the second half. 3 field goals?
Well,
dude.
I also think they're not able to run the ball very much, which is a huge problem. So I think, I don't know. I think it is very difficult in this league to achieve when your quarterback is terrible under pressure. And Jared Goff is the exception. He's horrendous when he's pressured because he can't move.
Mm-hmm.
But Jared Goff may be the lone exception to that. But when I start looking at Aaron Rodgers, dude, I think if Aaron was their biggest problem, they would be dominant. And I agree, Aaron's terrible under pressure, but when you can't run the football, like I just don't know how they're this bad defensively.
And the incredible thing is you're still leading the division. That's the incredible thing.
Right. But I'm warning you guys about that division. That division is not even close to over. I think the Ravens will win the division. The Ravens will win the division. I mean, they just have so much to play for in front of them. And that division is not close to over. So Steelers will make the playoffs because everyone else in the AFC North sucks ass.
Well, the Ravens aren't going to lose again until December 7th when they play the Steelers, and they may not lose that game. If they win that game, they won't lose again until December 21st against the Patriots, potentially.
Lamar should be back this week. So, Mike Smooth, Aaron knows at his age he does not recover like he used to. At one time, he could go into the green dumpster hyperbaric chamber to recover. See, Mike, why would I play a video when you're begging for it? That's the thing that I've never really understood, but it works.
Oh,
fucking God.
There you go. I think it is. I think Aaron Rodgers is not the problem in Pittsburgh. And I still maintain the Ravens will win the defense. We'll win the division. That's just my opinion. And
we'll see.
This is what football's turning into. Like if I said to you right now, who's winning the Heisman Trophy? Diego Pavia. Right, that's cool. He's not. And
you mean that was your take before the Bama game?
Is Diego Pavia an NFL quarterback? He's not. He's not. And when you look at guys like Ty Simpson, who will win the Heisman Trophy, in my opinion, Fernando Mendoza. Yeah,
Mendoza.
But guys like Marcel Reed, Diego Pavia, I am begging any of these dudes that are NFL eligible, stay in school. I think it's so important that these guys stay in school an extra year because the dudes that go out, I just think it's such a problem. And like I look at Dante Moore needs to stay in school. I mean, it would be a huge mistake, in my opinion, if Dante Moore came out of college to go to the NFL this year. He's just not ready. And I think it's a plague because these dudes don't want to stay in school.
Yeah.
They want to go to the NFL, and I understand, but he has got to. Diego is one thing. Dante Moore could be the number one quarterback in the draft, and he needs to stay in school.
Yeah.
He needs to stay in school. Dude, I really hope that who do you think wins the Heisman?
I agree with you. I think it'll probably be Ty Simpson. If the trajectory continues, you just stay consistent, win the games you should, go to the college football playoff, contend for a national championship. Even if you don't get to the Natty game, even if you win, one game, I guess that would be. If you win one game, you get to the second game and you lose. Okay. I mean, that's still, obviously that's still a big time season. And obviously, the Heisman doesn't incorporate the CFP, but I think that, when you're looking at how the season shakes out and who's winning what, you got to be on that arc. So I think that it's probably Ty Simpson, but I will see how it shakes out for sure.
All right. Before we vamos and talk about I am a big believer in this whatever these Louvre criminals did, we need to get into that. So I'm very interested to see what you guys think of that. Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
World Series tonight. Should he be pitching tonight? Because I think it's very interesting that Glasnow's getting the ball tonight. Shohei goes tomorrow in a 1-1 series. You have a chance to really kill any momentum that Toronto has, and they're going Tyler Glasnow. Max Scherzer gets the ball for Toronto. Do you like pushing Shohei Ohtani another day?
Yeah, I mean, I think that giving Ohtani the rest on his arm is smart. And I also think that Glasnow has been reasonable for you. I mean, he's been pretty solid for you overall. So I don't think that, I don't think it's some liability. Certainly, I think that if you're Dave Roberts, you're sitting here looking at this series and you're like, yeah, dude, baller starting pitching to start the series. We're in a pretty good spot coming off of that game, and we need to keep the momentum. And what better way to do that than to lean on Glasnow? I just think he's been pretty good. Now, he's not better than Ohtani when Ohtani's at his best, and Ohtani obviously had a great start last time out. So I think it is as usual the whole suffering from riches conversation for the Dodgers. But what we do know is that the Dodgers it's an all or nothing proposition for the Dodgers with pitching. Your starter's either going to give you 8 innings, 9 innings, and you're going to win the ball game, or you're going to get 5 and it's going to be a roller coaster out of the pen, and it's going to come down to you putting up like 8-9 runs to win the ball game. And that's what I think Dave Roberts is thinking about, is like, all right, well, if we can win the Glasnow start, that'd be 2 wins in a row. And then, we'll put Ohtani out there and give him some leash, because I also think they are considering, hey, well, he's obviously not 100% on the mound yet, coming from recovery. So we don't want to put him in a situation where it's massive leverage. We would rather go with a guy who's 100% healthy, give Ohtani the opportunity to pitch in a lower leverage game from our side. And, if we win that one too, cherry on top, which is exactly what they did to the Brewers in the NLCS. So that's why you would push Ohtani if I'm Dave Roberts.
Yeah. I hate this. The way they've handled him. That's the one thing I really struggle with, is I wish there was just more. of a plan with Ohtani. I don't know if he's injured or not. His at-bats have been awful. He continues to For one, he had one really stellar game. And other than that, he has just been ass at the plate. And it's really bizarre because he's one of the few guys who you have to hope he gets himself out. And he's been getting himself out. You need him to pitch well and get hot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you know.
Yeah, I still like the Dodgers in this series. I think it is going to be a deeper series. You're 6 games minimum, I think, in this series, just with how erratic that Dodger bullpen is. I mean, I harken back to that Brewer game where you had Sasaki out of the pen, go to Trinan, sweating to put that game away. And we haven't really been in that situation, right? I mean, obviously, Blake Snell got run out of game 1. Then you've got Yamamoto with a masterpiece in game 2.
What a pitching battle that was.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not here. Like, I appreciate the cancer initiative out of Major League Baseball. In fact, I love that they do that.
The Joe Jonas thing was weird, or the Jonas Brothers thing was weird.
That to me was Major League Baseball's effort at a halftime show, right? That was Major League Baseball's effort at we're going to take a break for 10 minutes, play some music, pay tribute. And I appreciate the thought and the sentiment. Absolutely. But they have to find a way to do it in a more seamless way, because this is the World Series. The most important thing in this scenario is the baseball, and taking 2 starters out of the rhythm of the game, to do that, to then put them, like, I didn't love it, but I appreciated the sentiment massively.
I would agree. I mean, the sentiment obviously with cancer is one thing, but I would agree with that. All right. What did these idiots at the Louvre do? Because this is amazing to me. So did you guys see this? They stole a bunch of really expensive stuff at the Louvre. And if you don't know, the Louvre is the gold standard of museums in Paris. And what's amazing is these dudes just rolled up with a scissor lift in a truck and ripped off a bunch of jewels. And nobody seems to know how or why or what led to them doing it. Are you surprised they even had the balls to try?
Yes, absolutely. I think, I don't know what the prison sentence will be or what price you're going to pay for this, but just the idea that you think you could go into a facility like that and get out unscathed is wild to me, because you're talking about obviously a world-class facility, obviously an iconic, venue. And you thought that you were going to put a ladder on the side of the building and just jump in and jump out, and you weren't going to leave any signs, and you were going to do this like as fast as possible. Like, that to me is what I don't understand about this strategy. And I'm all down for a conversation around, dude, you want to have an Italian job style conversation where we're talking about like strategy and tactics on how to steal something without getting caught and reap the benefit? Okay, I'm down. Dude. But this to me always seemed like a plan that just wasn't thought out. Like, what was the thought of like, hey, yeah, we're going to go in with a ladder, get in and get out, and then basically get caught a few days later? Like, I don't get it. That's weird to me.
I think, well, and if you guys didn't know, they left a bunch of stuff behind. They dropped a bunch of jewels on the way out. They left their DNA behind. The 2 suspects that were arrested were trying to get out of town. They both have dual citizenship. The one was trying to go to Mali, in Africa, and like they were on the way out of town. And it is wild to me that the Louvre had such poor security in place. Just poor security. Do you guys understand this was in the same hall with the Mona Lisa? Can you imagine if the Mona Lisa had been stolen? And it likely could have been had somebody planned it, because these dudes just walked in, had saws and hammers, and went to town and took the most expensive jewels in the world. And just walked right back out the window, got on a couple of motorbikes and drove off. Like, that's unbelievable to me. That is unbelievable to me. It's wild. And that they set up on this job, that they were able to, I mean, it's just crazy that they were able to pull this off. And then there's this guy of a dude, like there's a guy standing out on the scene wearing a fedora outside the Louvre. This French photog took a picture of this dude in a Dapper Dan suit, and nobody knows who it is. Nobody knows who it is. Did not know who the guy was. And everybody's trying to figure out who this guy is. Meanwhile, they're in there stealing your jewels, bruh. And people just want to know who this guy in the fedora is. What would it take for you to get involved in something like that? Like, what would it take for you to get involved in trying to knock off the Louvre, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard. Not even an amount of money. I mean, honestly, like, I don't want to go to jail, dude. I don't want to burn a single day sitting in a 10 by 10. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's really hard to. That's really hard to stomach, dude.
I would never even attempt it.
Yeah, and what I just don't understand how, like, like these guys get it in their head that they're not only going to pull the job off, but getting away with it. That's the thing.
You're not getting away with it.
Right? Like, cool, you stole all this stuff from the Louvre, but now there's the whole prospect that you're on the run the rest of your life. Like, how does that work, bro? Like, how are you?
That one of those jobs where you get murdered for even attempting it?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Right?
Honestly, yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to capture you. They want to kill you. That's what it feels like anyway. I think it's, I don't know. I watched a whole lot of Reacher yesterday. My wife got home from her European vacation, so I was up a little later. And Reacher on Prime, I love it. I like both the Tom Cruise version and whoever the other big white dude is version. I'm a huge Reacher fan. And the violence in that movie is what I would suspect happens when you rip the Louvre off. Like, how are you even going to fence those jewels?
I have no idea, bro.
Has anybody taken a minute to just ask yourself, okay, cool, we ripped off all these jewels. We're rich. Well, how are you rich? Because who's buying those from you?
Yeah, I mean, aren't your odds better running the, mafia Chauncey Billups poker table scheme than trying to steal art from the Louvre?
I'm warning you about LeBron and this gambling scandal.
It's not good, dude.
They had games at his house.
Oh, but LeBag would never, Monty.
Did he get taken? Isn't that the obvious inference here, is that he got taken and lied to, and they had it at his house and he had no idea that they were using tables and card counting machines? And
yeah, Ohtani never knew that Ipe was in his account. He had no idea, bro.
Ipe.
No idea, dude. Yeah.
We gotta stretch our legs on that a little bit, because I am really, amongst all the NBA awesomeness that happened over the weekend, including Cooper Flagg sticking it up BDM's hindquarters. I am pretty amazed that nothing seems to be happening with this gambling thing in the NBA.
Nothing.
It just seems like it's over now. It's over now.
And this is what I don't get about Adam Silver, dude. Like, what are you doing as commissioner to prevent this? What, like, is the tactic to say nothing and just let time pass? Is that what you're going with, dude? Is that the best you can do? Because all I see on the official NBA accounts is how, we have generational scoring going on with, Austin Reeves and Brunson and Wemby and, Cooper Flagg and all these dudes, right? And Luka. Like, oh, look at all the scoring. The NBA's in a better place than it's ever been. Yeah, outside of the mafia.
Austin Reeves.
Yeah, outside of the mafia being involved, the NBA's in a great place, dude. No problems. Nothing to see here. That's what I don't get, man. Like, how are we just writing this off? How are we, how are NBA owners feeling good about, the future of the league? I don't know. I guess writing it off is what we do as people now, I guess.
I don't believe that for a second the NBA wants to figure this out. Just like I don't believe that anybody wanted to know how involved Shohei was. They just wanted to crucify Ipe. Why do you want to know if LeBron actually knew what was going on at the card games?
Yeah, why would you do more testing? That leads to more positive cases, right? Like, why would we want to do more investigating? That leads to more bad news for our league.
Yeah, I'm not interested in all that. And I don't think anybody at the NBA wants to know. And I am amazed.
The NBA can't afford for Bron's legacy to be ruined by this.
I totally agree. I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's any chance that he didn't know, in my opinion. LeBron had to know.
Bro. Come on.
He had to know. And it's just, how far do you think this goes?
I think it's deep. I think it's wide-ranging.
When you say wide-ranging, what does that mean?
I think that over the weekend, it had been, basically confirmed without officially confirming it that, in the inside information case, which is allegedly two separate things, that Chauncey Billups is allegedly defendant number 8. And that is the alleged connection between the inside information and the table thing. And so if it is indeed true that Chauncey is defendant number 8 in the inside information to bettors thing, that just says to me, okay, well, how many Chauncey Billups are there in the league? How many guys in the league are like, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm not playing a lot right now, and I could really use some more money. What can I do? What kind of influence can I provide? And it's the guys you don't think about. It's the guys, again, it's why Jonte Porter was that guy, because you don't know who Jonte Porter is. That is until he's being, expelled from the NBA, and then you know who he is.
But
it's that kind of guy.
Who they want. That's who they want to get caught. They don't want Chauncey Billups. They don't want LeBron James, in my opinion. And
what I know is these guys love to play cards on the plane. There is a whole community and culture in the NBA around gambling. It is what it is. And there's a difference. I understand there's a difference between teammates burning time on a team flight by playing cards and officially putting money down on lines and positions and stuff. I get that. But what I'm saying is that when you're LeBron James, you never know who you're talking to in a room or who you're going to meet. And in my opinion, it would be foolish to believe LeBron James or anybody at that level has no knowledge or is completely blind to things going on. I will never believe that, dude. It's just not possible. No way.
Agree. All right. The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Tons of NFL tomorrow. A lot more on Brian Kelly, a lot more on Dan Lanning, a lot more on who's leaving where and going to who. A lot of NFL tomorrow, a lot of Major League Baseball, a lot of NBA. A lot going on, a lot of stories to talk about. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.